Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your coworker takes credit for your idea. Your friend cancels plans for the third time this month, and you feel it rising. That hot, tight sensation in your chest. That mental loop replaying what just happened, crafting the perfect comeback you'll never actually say. But some people don't do that. They watch the same chaos unfold and somehow nothing. No rage spiral, no mental replay, no week-long grudge. Turns out, they've just figured out something most of us are still wrestling with. So, if you're tired of letting random strangers rent space in your head, and honestly, the rent is way too high, let's break it down. The reframer. Last Tuesday, I was stuck in traffic on the 405, completely stopped. GPS said arrive in 47 minutes for what should have been 12 minutes. The guy next to me was pounding his steering wheel, full meltdown. Meanwhile, the woman in the lane over was just existing, maybe listening to a podcast. She wasn't suppressing anything. She'd just rewritten the story her brain was telling. Most of us see traffic and think, this is a disaster. I'm going to be late. Everyone will judge me. The reframer thinks, traffic happens. I'll get there when I get there. Why let it hijack my nervous system? Psychologists call this cognitive reframing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a traffic jam. It just floods you with cortisol either way. All that damage for something you can't even control. Reframers ask one question. Will this matter in a week? Most of the time, no. So they let it dissolve, not because they're passive, because they're selective about what gets their energy. The radical acceptor. Then there's the person who gets betrayed, disrespected, or straight up wronged, and somehow doesn't spiral into bitterness. Because they've internalized something most of us resist. People are gonna people. You know how you expect your dog to bark when someone knocks? You don't get mad about it. It's just what dogs do. Radical acceptors apply that same logic to humans. Someone's rude? That person's probably stressed or having a terrible day. Someone lies? They're operating from fear. My therapist once said, getting mad at someone for being selfish is like getting mad at a cat for knocking your glass off the table. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's a cat. What did you expect? And I hated how right she was. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about understanding it so it doesn't control you. When you stop taking things personally, you stop giving people power over your peace. Think about the last time someone annoyed you. Was it really about you, or was it about them and their own mess? Radical acceptors default to the second answer, and it sets them free. The energy protector. But here's where it gets real. Some people don't avoid anger by being zen. They avoid it by being ruthless about their boundaries. Toxic friend? Gone. Miserable job? They quit. Family member who guilt trips them? Limited contact? Zero negotiation. Sounds harsh, right? But they've figured out something critical. You can't reframe your way out of a genuinely harmful situation. I tried the radical acceptance thing with a family member who kept making passive-aggressive comments at dinner. They're just stressed, I told myself. It's not about me. By dessert, I'd snapped, full defensive mode. Because sometimes acceptance just doesn't work. Sometimes you're too tired, too triggered, or the person's too skilled at finding exactly where you're vulnerable. Energy protectors ask, is this worth my peace? No? Gone. They don't wait for the other person to change. They just step back. And the rest of us are standing there like, wait, you can do that? Yes, you can. The boundary here isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The expectation adjuster. This last one's the hardest, but it's also the most powerful. Most anger comes from a gap, the gap between what you expected and what actually happened. Expectations? They're just premeditated disappointments. I'm not saying stop wanting good things. I'm saying stop demanding them from a world that never promised to deliver. People who never get angry hold their expectations loosely. They hope for the best. They work toward the best. But they don't collapse when reality doesn't match the script in their head. There's this guy I know who got fired unfairly, sued the company, lost. Then 2 years later, ran into his old boss at a coffee shop and bought him a coffee. I asked him how. He said, I got bored of being mad. That's it. No framework, no technique, just boredom with his own anger. So what now? Which type are you becoming? The reframer? The radical acceptor? The energy protector? The expectation adjuster? Maybe you're a chaotic mix of all four, depending on the day and how much coffee you've had. Here's what I've learned. Anger is optional. Before someone says I'm promoting toxic positivity, I'm not saying anger is bad. Sometimes anger is data. It's your brain saying, this situation is wrong. The goal isn't to never feel angry. It's to not let anger run the show, to not let some stranger's rudeness dictate your entire afternoon. There's a difference between feeling anger and being angry. One's a weather pattern, the other's a permanent residence. You're not broken if you get angry. You're human, but you're also capable of something most people never discover, the ability to watch chaos unfold and stay whole. That's freedom, and it's yours for the taking. Which type resonated? Drop it in the comments. I actually read them, and sometimes they end up being better than the video. Subscribe. I'm putting these out weekly, and honestly, making them is keeping me sane. See you in the next one.